I didn't scream back. I didn't even ask how. I just stood there, tea mug in hand, one sock slipping off my heel, wondering how I became the villain in a story I never wrote. I left. Just walked out. No shoes, no suitcase. Just me, a debit card with 3146, and my silence. That was 2 weeks ago. This morning I woke up to 20 missed calls. Dad, Mom, my sister. Suddenly they needed me. But let's rewind not all the way. Just to the last moment I was still pretending this was a family. It wasn't a fight. Not really. There was no shouting match. It was something colder, more rehearsed. My sister Seraphine, yes. That's her real name, was live streaming to her 50,000 followers in the living room. Her ring light cast a saintly glow around her curled hair and fake empathy. I was behind her, invisible in the kitchen archway, microwaving a mug of tea for the third time. She didn't even acknowledge me until her screen flickered. Oh my God, not now. Her voice pitched up. Why does this always happen when you're around? She turned fire in her eyes. You ruin everything, Odell. It wasn't a new line. What was new was the way my mother stood up, straightened her sweater, and said calmly, "She's not wrong." I thought I misheard. Every time something good happens, she said, "You find a way to ruin it." Then she added like a dagger twist, "You've ruined her life. And honestly, you've ruined ours too." That was the cut. Right there. A clean emotional slice that bleeds, slow but deep. My dad didn't say anything, just rubbed the bridge of his nose like it pained him to be in the room. I stood in that doorway, mug trembling in my hand, and realized no one was going to stop it. No one was going to say, "That's too far." No one even looked at me. They had erased me without needing to lift a finger. Now, if you're wondering what led to this, was I some terrible person? Did I do something unspeakable? No, I moved back in. That's it. After I lost my job, I came home to reset. I paid rent. I did chores. I stayed out of the way. But what I didn't do was shine. I didn't post filtered selfies. I didn't brag about deals or donate to curated causes. I didn't give them something to brag about on Facebook. I just existed. And that in this house was the greatest sin. After that night, I didn't sleep. I packed a backpack, the same one I used in college. No photo albums, no old birthday cards. I'd stopped writing them years ago when I realized no one read them. The guest room door stuck. The carpet smelled like stale lemon spray, and the only sound was the crinkling of a granola bar wrapper as I shoved it in my side pocket, survival food, not sentiment. When I left, no one asked where I was going. No one asked if I'd be back. The house didn't feel like a home. It felt like a courtroom where I'd already been sentenced. Here's what they don't tell you about leaving. It's not dramatic. It's not rain pouring down on your final goodbye. It's just quiet. Almost polite. Like the world holds the door for you as you slip out unnoticed. I walked 2 blocks to the gas station, bought water, asked if the bus still ran. Last one's in 8 minutes, the clerk said. It showed up 14 minutes late. I waited anyway. And that's how it starts, not with a breakdown, but a decision made in silence, to stop begging people to see you. I got off the bus downtown just after midnight. The air was damp, clinging to my skin like a warning. I didn't know where I was going, not really. I just kept walking until I saw a flickering neon sign that said, "Rooms, vacancy, low weekly rates." The front desk clerk didn't ask questions. He didn't care who I was, or why I looked like I hadn't slept in days. "Cash or card," he muttered, barely glancing away from the glowing TV behind him. I handed over my last $42. Room 7 smelled like bleach and old cigarette smoke. The walls were thin, so thin I could hear the man next door arguing with someone on speakerphone. I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't open the window. I just sat at the edge of the mattress, still in my coat, and stared at the stain on the ceiling that looked like a wilted rose. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. Not because I was strong, because there wasn't any feeling left to squeeze out. I opened my phone, hoping for something, maybe a message, even a mean one. Nothing. Just one old notification from the previous year. Reminder, unopened Mother's Day gift, still in transit. It was the box I'd mailed Mom's silk handkerchiefs with her initials. I had them monogrammed. She never opened it. She never opened me. The next morning, I counted what I had $270 in my account. No job, no home, no backup. I needed a plan. So I walked again. Downtown was waking up slowly. Trash trucks clattered, coffee shops lit up. I passed by one with a chalkboard sign that said free Wi-Fi, bottomless refills, quiet corner tables. That was all I needed. I stepped inside. It smelled like burnt toast and bleach. I ordered the cheapest coffee on the menu, 175, and sat at a corner booth near the outlet. I pulled out my phone, opened every freelance tutoring site I could find. Most of them I had bookmarked years ago, back when I thought about starting a side hustle. I never used them, too busy, too safe in my comfort zone. Now, comfort wasn't even a rumor. One of the sites had an old profile I forgot I created. I updated it, specializing in SAT and ACIT prep, writing support, study plans for overwhelmed students. Under About Me, I wrote I believe in showing up even when no one else does. By noon, I had sent out 16 applications. Parents, adults studying for their GEDs, students drowning in pressure, people like me. Somewhere between the 5th and 6th listing, I stopped and stared at my own words in the bio. Reliable, compassionate, patient. They didn't feel fake. They just felt forgotten. I heard my grandma's voice. "You were always the one who listened," she used to say, like it was a superpower. She saw it. She saw me. The cafe stayed loud, clinking mugs, screeching chairs, but I felt focused, clearer than I had in months. I checked my email. Nothing yet. Still something small and hard formed in my chest, not bitterness. Resolve. I walked to the library 2 blocks over. The building felt like a sanctuary, still quiet, familiar. They let guests borrow Chromebooks for 2-hour sessions. I signed one out and worked until my fingers cramped. I saved everything to the cloud this time. Lesson plans. Study rubrics, a diagnostic test I once spent 3 weeks designing. I wasn't going to let it disappear again. That night, back in the motel, I sat on the floor, back against the cheap wood paneling, my laptop humming softly. One email blinked in. A parent. "Hi, is this still available? My daughter's struggling. We need help." Then another, then a third. I stared at the inbox. For the first time in a long time, someone needed me for who I was, not who they wanted me to be. I didn't smile. Not yet. But something shifted. I looked at the motel walls, still bare, still stained. Then I whispered aloud, they never saw what I was building. But I did. The third client confirmed before sunrise. A single mom from Texas. Her son was failing English, and the school had stopped returning her calls. "I just want someone who cares," she wrote. That line stayed with me. By 8 a.m., I had 3 tutoring sessions booked and an inbox full of questions. My $1.75 coffee shop had become my new office. I stayed until close, refilling my mug, charging my laptop, working like the rent depended on it, because it did. Each time I helped a student understand something, I felt a thread stitch itself back into me. I hadn't realized how unraveled I'd become, but that night everything cracked again. I was sitting on the motel bed chewing on dry cereal, scrolling through job boards when I saw it. A glowing Instagram post. My sister, Seraphine. Caption, "So proud to finally launch Success Academy years of work. Love and resilience behind this curriculum. Ein family legacy. Ein educate to empower." The image was clean white background, gold accents, photos of her looking professional, generous, wise. It looked familiar. Too familiar. I clicked the site link. My breath caught. Page after page, it was mine. Every damn page. My diagnostic rubric, the one I built over 3 unpaid internships and 5 years of hands-on tutoring, was now downloadable under her logo. The diagrams mine. The sample essay prompts, I recognized every sentence, every font. Even the damn sidebar layout. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, a slow burn rising in my chest like a fever. I pulled up one of my old cloud folders, the same one I updated just last week. I laid the files side by side. Her site hadn't been inspired by my work. She'd stolen it, word for word. I didn't cry. I screenshot everything. Then I closed my laptop and sat in the dark. It wasn't just about the stolen content. It was about erasure. Again. She hadn't just taken the work. She'd stripped it of my name. She wore my voice like a jacket and claimed it was custom. The next morning, I took the bus to the library early. I printed everything, side-by-side comparisons, timestamps from my Google Drive, archived drafts with metadata dating back years. It wasn't just personal anymore, it was intellectual theft, legal theft. I didn't know what I would do with the papers, but holding them in my hands made the air feel less heavy. That afternoon, I called my parents. I wasn't expecting a warm welcome, but I needed them to know, to see, to care. Mom picked up. "Oh, Delan, we're in the middle of something. Can this wait?" "No, it really can't." I explained what I'd found. My voice didn't shake. I'd practiced it too many times in my head. When I paused, hoping for a gasp, even mild shock, all she said was, "I'm sure she didn't mean anything by it." I blinked. "She probably just thought she was helping you." By erasing me silence. Then the worst part. She's worked so hard to rebuild after, no mom. I don't know. She sighed. "You've always been so sensitive." That was her reply to Betrayal. "You're sensitive." I hung up before I screamed. Back at the motel, I taped the documents to the wall, the comparison pages, the curriculum drafts. I lined them up like evidence in a courtroom. It wasn't about revenge. It was about proof. Proof that I existed. That evening, I received a message from an old friend, Mila. We hadn't spoken in over a year, not since I left our old tutoring company, and she stayed. Her message was short. "Odell, I need to talk to you. About your sister's site. It's urgent." We met at the cafe after hours. She looked nervous, clutching a folder like it was radioactive. "I thought I was crazy," she whispered, sliding the papers across the table. "But the minute I saw it, I knew. It's your work. I remember helping you outline this." I flipped through the pages. They were screenshots of back-end files. Some still had my name in the embedded metadata. "Did she say you gave it to her?" Mila asked softly. "Yes, she's lying." I nodded. Not because I was surprised, but because this was just the beginning. Mila didn't leave right away. She sat across from me at the little round table in that corner cafe, her coat half-zipped, eyes darting toward the windows like she was afraid someone might see her with me. "She told everyone you were unstable," she said. "Said you didn't want to be involved, that you handed it all over voluntarily." I stared down at the evidence printouts from the back end of Seraphine's site, still carrying remnants of my formatting, my phrasing, my soul. There was even a draft I'd saved on a shared Google Drive folder back when I still trusted people. Mila tapped her fingers nervously. "I'm sorry I didn't reach out sooner. I didn't want to believe it." "It's okay," I said. But it wasn't. Not really. We sat there in silence until she reached into her tote bag again. "There's something else," she added, pulling out a small envelope. It was wrapped in a faded floral dish towel like something sacred. "I found this in your mom's desk, buried under a stack of expired coupons." My heart stuttered. The envelope was sealed. My name was written across the front in my own handwriting. It was the birthday card I had mailed Mom last year. Inside it, I'd placed a $25 gift card to her favorite cafe. I saved for weeks to afford it, but more than that, I'd written a note, a real note, not just happy birthday. I had poured something vulnerable into that card, a request, a crack in the wall. I reached out and gently took the envelope from Mila's hands. She leaned forward, whispering, "It hasn't been opened." I held it like it might crumble if I breathed wrong. It looked exactly like it did the day I walked it to the mailbox. Unwrinkled, untouched, forgotten. "I wasn't snooping," Mila added quickly. "Verena asked me to drop something off, said to leave it in the kitchen." I waited, and there it was, like trash. I didn't open it right away. Not there. Not in that cafe with its syrupy coffee smell and squeaky vinyl seats. I waited until I got back to the motel. I sat cross-legged on the bed, the air thick with bleach and silence. I peeled the flap open slowly, like I was unfolding part of myself that I'd tried to forget. Inside was the gift card unused. And the note. "Mom, if there's still space in your heart for me, I'd like to sit there again. Not asking for everything, just a call back. I miss our Tuesday talks. I miss you. Love, Odell." I read it once, then again. Then I folded it shut and set it on the pillow beside me like a ghost. She never opened it, not even to throw it away. Later that night, I started organizing the documents taped to my motel wall. I wanted to feel like I had a map, some kind of blueprint for sanity. That's when I saw the old flash drive tucked inside my laptop sleeve. It had been in there for years, something I used back when I taught full-time. I plugged it in half out of habit. Inside was a folder named Grandma, Legal. I didn't remember what it was, but when I opened it, my entire body stilled. There, scanned in perfect grayscale, was a copy of my grandmother's will. I clicked on the file, her handwriting, her signature, her voice suddenly alive through ink and scanned paper. A highlighted clause jumped out: all educational materials, intellectual property, and curriculum co-created with Odell Shipley shall remain solely hers upon my passing. I sat back staring at the screen. She had protected me. Quietly, legally, without ceremony, because she knew. My mother must have seen it. They all must have. And they never told me. They let Seraphine take everything even when they knew it was mine by law. I printed the will at the library the next morning and tacked it to the motel wall next to the birthday card. One was typed, one was handwritten, one was unopened. All three were proof. I had been erased, but not forgotten. Not by everyone. I was just about to fall asleep when the buzzing started. Not my thoughts this time, my phone. Buzz, pause, buzz, buzz. 4 missed calls, then 7, then 14. I stared at the glowing screen. Dad, Mom, unknown numbers. And then Seraphine. I didn't answer, not out of pettiness but clarity, because I already knew what it meant. The next voicemail confirmed it. My father's voice was ragged. Odellin, your sister's getting dragged all over the internet. Some blog picked up the story. They're calling it plagiarism. People are mad. She's saying you're lying, but we need your help. She's not handling it well. That word again. We need you. We didn't mean it. We didn't see. But when I needed them, they watched me leave without shoes. I set the phone down, let it buzz until the silence won. The next morning, I poured my motel room coffee burnt bitter and too hot. I didn't check messages. I didn't scroll. I printed the will again just to feel the paper in my hands. Then I logged into my tutoring platform. Account suspended. Red warning text blinked across the dashboard. Your site has been temporarily suspended due to reported copyright violations. My stomach twisted. I clicked for details. Anonymous IP, no sender, no message. Just a silent threat made loud by legal jargon. They didn't just want to discredit me, they wanted to erase me, again. I called Margot, my attorney, a woman in her 50s with a voice like steel wrapped in velvet. She didn't flinch. I already traced it, she said calmly. It came from your sister's branding agency. This wasn't random, so what now, you counter? That afternoon, I opened a new folder on my desktop. I wasn't angry. I wasn't afraid. I was methodical. I gathered every lesson plan I'd written, every outline, every rubric, drafts saved with dates months, even years before Seraphine launched anything. I highlighted the clause from Grandma's will. I included screenshots of her site overlays with timestamps and the back-end files Mila gave me. I even added an audio file, me reading the paragraph aloud. Calm, precise. I didn't scream. I documented. That's who I was now. I emailed it all to the platform's legal department. But I didn't stop there. I sent the same package to every tutoring client I had, past and present. Subject for transparency. In light of recent confusion, attached is the original course material, copyright documents, timestamps, and my legal ownership rights. Thank you for your trust. Within an hour, responses trickled in. We believe you. Your course saved my son. Please keep teaching. Then one message stopped me cold. You helped my daughter when no one else did. Don't let them take that away. I printed that one, taped it to the wall, next to the will, next to the card. 3 truths, 3 proofs. Later that night, I checked social media. I didn't want to, but I had to. Seraphine had posted. People love to tear you down once you build something. Funny how that works. Family drama. The comments weren't kind. Why is your sister's name missing from the curriculum screenshots? Don't lie. You mean the course your sister wrote? Then came the avalanche. A former intern shared a Canva template, my layout, my copy. A designer leaked back-end chat logs. Even a teacher I didn't know reposted my original slides crediting me. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I sat on the motel floor, peppermint tea and hand knees pulled close. For the first time, I didn't feel like someone trying to survive. I felt like someone worth stealing from, and that meant I had built something real. The knock came at 7:42 p.m. 3 sharp raps, familiar, measured, like they practiced it in the car before walking up to my door. I looked through the peephole and stepped back. Verena, Gareth, Seraphine. I didn't open the door right away. I could see the strain on their faces. My mother's lipstick had faded. My father's shoulders were hunched. Seraphine's mascara had started to trail. I opened it slowly but didn't move aside. We stood in the narrow hallway of my new apartment, me inside them out. The air between us felt cold, like glass ready to shatter with one wrong word. We made mistakes, Verena began. She clasped her hands like she was praying. We know, but family means forgiving. I didn't blink. No, I said softly. Family meant not burning my letters. It meant opening my envelope. It meant saying my name in your family appreciation posts. She looked down, her silence louder than any apology. I turned to Seraphine. She met my gaze like a child caught cheating on a test, but too proud to cry. She didn't speak, so I did. This time I said, stepping back just 1 inch, I'm not the one fixing your mess. Then I closed the door, not with a slam, just a click. I stood there for a while, listening to the muffled shuffle of them walking away. No yelling, no pleading, just 3 shadows fading down the hall. I made tea, chamomile, no sugar. After everything, I still needed warmth. I sat at my desk and checked my email. That's when I saw it. Your professional site has been flagged and temporarily suspended due to multiple copyright violation claims. My chest tightened, another red banner, another blow. I clicked the details. Anonymous again. Another faceless, spineless punch. They hadn't come to apologize. They came to silence me one last time, but they didn't know what I had. I reached into my folder and pulled out my grandmother's will, now officially verified, notarized, and recorded thanks to Margot, my attorney. I pinned it next to the email screenshot and the unopened birthday card. 3 documents, 1 typed, 1 handwritten, one that never mattered to them. Together they told the same story. I was erased. Now they wanted me back not for love, but for cleanup. The next day I didn't rush. I didn't scramble to reply or panic refresh my inbox. I made breakfast. Real food, eggs, toast, butter. Nothing fancy but mine. Only then did I call Margot. They're trying to bury you in paperwork, she said flatly. An emergency injunction. They want to block your site permanently. I stared at the toaster. Its reflection looked steadier than I felt. They also filed a Reddit thread, she added. It's spreading. They're painting you as bitter, jealous. The unstable sister who's lashing out? Of course they were. This wasn't just a takedown. This was a rewrite. They were rewriting me. I opened the thread. Thousands of comments. Half lies, half people trying to figure out who to believe. Then one comment stopped me cold. Funny how the receipts always show up when the loud ones overplay their hand. That was it. Not angry, not defensive, just true. I opened my webcam. No filter, no makeup, just me barefaced, steady, ready. I placed the will in front of me and read the paragraph aloud, the clause about ownership, legacy, and copyright. Then I screen shared the curriculum files, the drafts, the old Google timestamps, the back-end screenshots, the plagiarized page overlays, even the email from her PR team with my name scrubbed out. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I just looked into the lens and said, they say silence is strength. But sometimes truth needs a voice. This is mine. No music, no dramatics, just the truth. I uploaded the video and waited. 2 hours later, my phone lit up like a city skyline. This woman helped my son pass his GED. She saved my daughter's senior year. She's the reason my kid got into college. An old client posted my lesson slides. A blogger I'd never met stitched my video on TikTok. Even the Reddit mods flagged the original thread as misinformation. Something had shifted. Not just the story, the power. And for once, I held it. By the time the sun rose the next morning, I knew exactly what they would do. When words failed them, they used paperwork. And now that my voice was louder than their version of events, they came swinging with an emergency injunction demanding I take down my website, delete the video, and stay silent forever. I sat at my desk with a chipped mug of lukewarm coffee and read every line of the cease and desist letter from their attorney. It wasn't written in anger, it was written in control. Withdraw all claims. Delete all public materials. No further mention of the incident parties or related content. Tucked behind the letter was a check, 6 figures, a settlement wrapped in gold ribbon and gag order. The old me might have cried, might have considered it, might have looked at the zeros and thought finally a way out. But not this version of me. I read it twice. Once as the woman they once erased, then again as the woman they couldn't. And then I slid the entire thing into my shredder and listened to the blades turn their silence into dust. That afternoon, I posted a final update. Not a video. Just a still image, my name, my credentials, and the words, "You don't owe people silence just because they share your last name. I won't take hush money for pain I never caused." By nightfall, it was everywhere. Women I'd never met shared it. Daughters who had been gaslit out of inheritances. Teachers whose work had been stolen by louder voices. Quiet sisters passed over for shinier ones. They didn't repost it for drama. They reposted it because it named something they hadn't found the words for. A few days later, a letter arrived. Not from a lawyer, not from a platform, from a former student. She was one of the first I had tutored back in that dusty public library when I couldn't even afford a proper headset. "You were the first person who told me I wasn't stupid," she wrote. "Now I'm studying early education, and I carry that sentence with me everywhere. I sat with that letter for a long time, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. This was what they tried to bury, and this was what survived." A month passed, then another. I moved out of the motel and into a small apartment, just 2 rooms and a view of the bus stop. But it had light, it had space. It had a door that locked from the inside and no one else's name on the lease. My office was modest, just a second-hand desk, a printer, and a vision board, with 3 items taped beside it. Grandma's will. The unopened birthday card. The thank you note from the student. 3 voices, 3 truths, all mine. I never heard from my family again. Not when Seraphine's site was permanently shut down. Not when Mom quietly sold the house. Not even on my birthday. They weren't monsters, just people who found it easier to lose me than face their reflection. I didn't fight them to punish them. I fought them to free myself. And freedom. It's quieter than I imagined, but not empty. Last week I launched a small scholarship fund in my grandmother's name. Nothing flashy, just enough to help kids like I once was forgotten, underfunded, unseen. The thank you notes started arriving. One girl wrote, "My parents think I'm a waste of time. Your scholarship makes me feel real again." I smiled and folded the letter carefully, because she is real, just like I was, just like I still am. Have you ever been erased by your own family? Have you ever had to rebuild your name with nothing but receipts and resolve? Then this story is yours too. Drop your story below. Tag someone who needs to hear this. Share this if you know what it means to fight quietly and rise anyway, because silence isn't always strength. Sometimes truth needs a voice, and today, that voice is yours.